Yet this decision made on bad data is a confident mistake. And most small operators have no idea how much of their data is quietly bad. You can build the smartest analysis in the world on top of numbers that were wrong before you started. And all you get is a beautifully reasoned wrong answer. Today, I want to talk about data quality, the unglamorous foundation everything else sits on, why your numbers lie more often than you would guess, and the simple habits that let a one-person business actually trust what its own data is telling it. I learned this the hard way, by making decisions on figures I assumed were clean, and finding out later they were not. The analysis was fine, the inputs were garbage, and garbage in is garbage out no matter how careful the middle. This is the least exciting topic in analytics and quietly the most important, because every metric I have talked about, churn, funnels, lifetime value, all of it, is only as trustworthy as the raw records underneath. So let me walk through where the rot creeps in and how to keep it out. What data quality means. Data quality is just how well your data reflects reality. High quality data is accurate, complete, consistent, and current, so that when you count something, the count matches the real world. Low quality data has gaps, errors, duplicates, and contradictions that quietly push your numbers away from the truth. It is not an abstract ideal. It is the difference between a customer count you can act on and one that is off by 15% for reasons you never noticed. Quality is the invisible property that decides whether your analysis describes your business or a distorted shadow of it. The duplicate problem. Start with duplicates because they are everywhere and they inflate everything. The same customer signs up twice with two email addresses, or an order gets recorded twice by a glitch, and suddenly your customer count and your sales are overstated. Duplicates make you look bigger and healthier than you are, and they quietly wreck any per customer metric because you are dividing by a number that is too high. Finding and merging duplicates is tedious and unglamorous, and it is often the single highest impact cleanup a small business can do to its data. The missing data problem. Next is missing data, the gaps where a value should be and is not. A customer with no recorded sign-up date, an order with no channel tag, a blank where the price should sit. Missing data is dangerous because different tools handle it differently. Some ignore the blank, some treat it as zero, and those two choices give wildly different answers. A pile of blank prices counted as zeros can crater your average order value for no real reason. Knowing where your gaps are and how your tools treat them is half the battle. The consistency problem. Then there is inconsistency. The same thing recorded different ways. One record says Singapore, another says SG, another says SPO, and your tool treats them as three different places. Dates in different formats. Product names spelled three ways. Categories that overlap. Inconsistency shatters your ability to group and count because things that are the same get scattered into separate buckets. It is death by 1,000 small variations, and it usually creeps in wherever data is typed by hand or merged from different sources that each had their own conventions. The accuracy problem. Accuracy is the plainest one. Values that are simply wrong. A fat-fingered price, a mislabeled category, a status that says active for a customer who cancelled months ago. Accuracy errors are the hardest to catch because the data looks perfectly normal. It is just false. Nothing about a wrong but plausible number announces itself. This is why you cannot fully trust data you never sanity check against reality, because a number can be complete, consistent, unique, and confidently, quietly incorrect, and no amount of tidy formatting will reveal it. The timeliness problem. Finally, timeliness, whether your data is current enough to be useful. A report built on last month's export. Decisions made on a customer list that has not synced in weeks. A dashboard quietly pulling stale numbers. Data that was accurate when it was captured can mislead simply by being out of date, especially for anything that changes fast. Old data is not wrong so much as expired. And acting on expired data feels exactly like acting on good data right up until the decision goes sideways for reasons you cannot see. Why bad data compounds? The reason this matters so much is that data errors do not stay put. They compound. A duplicate customer inflates your count, which distorts your per customer revenue, which throws off your lifetime value, which corrupts your acquisition math, which leads you to overspend on growth. One small error at the source ripples through every metric downstream, growing as it goes. By the time it reaches a decision, the original tiny mistake has been amplified into a real misjudgment. This is why fixing data at the source beats patching each broken metric one at a time. Just catch it at the source. The cheapest place to fix data quality is where the data is created. A form that validates an email before accepting it. A required field that will not let an order save without a channel. A drop-down instead of a free text box so people cannot invent 3 spellings of the same thing. Every constraint you add at entry is an error you never have to hunt down later. It is far easier to prevent a bad record than to find and repair it after it has quietly poisoned 3 months of reports. The sanity check habit. Build a habit of sanity checking numbers before you trust them. When a metric surprises you, do not immediately believe it. Ask whether it is even possible. A sudden doubling of signups might be a great week, or it might be a tracking bug counting everyone twice. A revenue figure that looks too good often is. The instinct to pause on a surprising number and check how it was produced before acting on it catches an enormous share of data disasters. Surprising numbers deserve suspicion, not celebration until you know they are real. Reconcile against something real. One of the strongest checks is reconciling your data against an independent source of truth. Does your recorded revenue match what actually landed in your bank account? Does your customer count roughly match the number of accounts you can see? When 2 independent sources agree, your confidence should rise, and when they disagree, you have found a problem worth chasing. For a small business, the bank statement is often the most honest dataset you own, and tying your analytics back to real money caught in the real world is a powerful reality check. Lower the money sin obinatid on farm. Does active mean paying or just not deleted? Does a sale count when ordered or when shipped? Write these definitions down, even a single page, so that you and your tools agree on what each number represents. Most contradictions between 2 reports come from 2 different unspoken definitions of the same word. A plain written definition of your key terms removes a whole category of confusion that otherwise resurfaces every time you compare 2 numbers that should have matched. Good enough, not perfect. A word of balance, because perfect data does not exist, and chasing it will bankrupt your attention. The goal is data that is trustworthy enough for the decision at hand, not flawless. A rough number good enough to tell you which direction to move is often all you need, and polishing it to 5 decimals of precision is wasted effort. Match your data quality effort to how much the decision costs. A big irreversible choice deserves careful data. A small reversible one can run on rougher figures without guilt. What clean data cannot do? The honest limit. Clean data does not make your analysis correct. It just removes one way of being wrong. You can have flawless data and still ask the wrong question, choose the wrong metric, or draw a bad conclusion. Quality is necessary, not sufficient. It clears the ground so that when your analysis is wrong, at least it is wrong for an interesting reason rather than because a duplicate crept in. Treat data quality as the floor you build on, not the whole building, and keep your judgment switched on above it. Give each number an owner. In a one-person business, the owner is always you, but the principle still bites. Every important number needs someone responsible for it being right. When no one owns a metric, everyone assumes someone else is checking it, and nobody is. Write down, even informally, which numbers you personally verify and how often. The act of naming yourself the owner of your revenue figure or your customer count makes you actually check it, where a number nobody owns quietly drifts wrong for months. Ownership is what turns good intentions about data quality into a habit that genuinely happens. Profile your data before you trust it. Before running any analysis, spend a few minutes just looking at the raw data. How many rows? How many blanks? What is the biggest and smallest value? Are there dates in the future or negative prices? This quick scan, sometimes called profiling, catches an enormous share of problems before they ever reach a decision. It takes 5 minutes and it is the cheapest insurance in analytics. A value that should never be negative showing up negative, or a count wildly higher than you expected, is exactly the kind of red flag a quick look reveals and a rushed analysis sails right past. Fix the process, not just the number. When you find a bad number, resist the urge to just correct that one value and move on. Ask how it got there, because the same flaw is almost certainly producing more bad records you have not spotted yet. A duplicate customer is rarely alone. It is a sign your sign-up flow allows duplicates in the first place. Catching the single visible error while leaving the process that created it means you will be back next month fixing its siblings. Fixing the source, the form, the import, the rule, stops the whole family of errors at once instead of one at a time. It takes a little longer than a quick patch, and it is the only fix that actually stays fixed. A corrected value with a broken process behind it is a chore you have quietly signed up to repeat forever, month after month, while a corrected process is a chore you do exactly once and then never think about again. The fuller guide, with the entry validation checklist and the reconciliation habits laid out step by step, lives at dataresearchanalysiscollection.com in plain English. I keep it honest there for the same reason I harp on it here, because every impressive metric in the world is worthless sitting on top of numbers nobody checked. Tidy your data at the source, sanity check the surprises, reconcile against real money, and you earn the right to actually trust the analysis you build on top of it. So to recap, data quality is how well your numbers reflect reality, and duplicates, gaps, inconsistency, inaccuracy, and stillness are the 5 ways they quietly drift from it. Errors compound as they flow downstream, so fix them at the source with validation, sanity check any surprising figure before acting, and reconcile against something real like your bank balance. Aim for good enough, not perfect. And remember, clean data only removes one way of being wrong. Next time I want to talk about activation rate and the aha moment, the metric that comes before retention. I will see you in the next one.